And joining us now on our Book Talk segment, great to welcome him, is going to tell us how to plan our future finances. This is a book he has out called The One-Page Financial Plan, a simple way to be smart about your money. We're joined today by Carl Richards. He's also a columnist for the New York Times, the Sketch Guy column, and he joined us by telephone. Carl, good to talk with you. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Doug. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, good to have a chance to talk with you for a few minutes. Had a chance to read through the book. I guess you'd think having money wouldn't be as complicated as it is, but so many people seem to have trouble with planning for their financial, not only future, but present, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, there seems to be a unique sort of mix of anxiety and emotion and stress around money that just seems to tie people up for sure. So we seem to have trouble, that's for sure.
You get so much advice, if you watch those shows on cable, and most of it's good, but you never know what to believe, what not to believe, right? The stock market and where you should put your money and all that. So I like what you say, a simple way to be smart about your money. You break it down, and it's not as complicated as people think, right?
Yeah, I think one of the challenges, you hinted at it there, was, there's all this information coming at us. And I want you to think about, like, another area of your life, maybe medicine. Imagine if you were walking down the street in your hometown and you saw somebody come up to you, and they had what looked like a white coat. It went about to their knees, and they handed you a piece of paper and looked like a prescription. So you went in, you filled it, and you took the medicine. Like, we would never do that. And I think one of the things that makes money so complicated is we're often running around filling prescriptions given to us by people and we say, well, they had a tie on, so they must have known, but they didn't know us. And they didn't take time to diagnose. And so I think that's the first step for anybody, right? You've got to get really clear about why you're doing it. Stop living somebody else's life financially and get clear about what your goals are and why you're doing it. And that will help you in ways of spending, saving, investing, sort of all areas. Start by getting clear about what you want.
I guess nowadays, obviously, with very few companies, if any, offering pensions, you're pretty much almost on your own. When it comes to your retirement. So you have to be smarter about money now. In the old days, you probably didn't have to worry about it as much. A lot of companies took care of it for you.
Yeah, that's certainly added to the sense of anxiety that we see really sort of globally, to be honest. All around the world, as I've talked about the last book and this book, there's one common theme, it's anxiety. And I think it's this shift from collective responsibility, right? The old pension and the reliance on Social Security. There's been a real noticeable shift, obviously, to personal responsibility. I'm not saying that's bad or good. I'm just saying it's reality. Now you got to figure out our 401ks and how to save. And so at a time when these decisions are becoming increasingly important and increasingly personal responsibility, we also have a massive deluge of information coming at us. So, yeah, you've got the decisions feel more important and more critical, and indeed they are. And it's more and more confusing because of all the noise you've got to sort through. So, yeah, it's a tough time.
Yeah, and depending on your age, what you're going to plan for your retirement. If you're in your 20s, I think you can obviously take a little more risk with your money, but a lot of people now have found themselves in a position, maybe in their 50s or even their 60s, and they're not quite sure what to do. So I know you give some advice in the book on that, but I guess the point is, how much can you save? How much should you save? That's probably the first question that most people have, right? How do I save money?
Yeah, and I think that starts maybe even a little earlier, right? First we say, why do you want to save money, right? And obviously that's obvious. Everybody wants to, but what are your specific goals? What are you trying to do? Well, I'm trying to retire, or at age 60, I hope to be able to slow down a little bit so I can work part-time at the university. Whatever it is your goals are, you get those written down. Then once you've done that, you start to get really clear about how you're spending money, right? And that's simply, I'm going to use a word. We might lose half your listeners as soon as I say budget,
That's right.
But let's not think of budget in the normal terms. Let's think of it in terms, like normally when you hear budget, you think punishment. I'm going to put you on a budget. Let's think of it in a different light. Let's think of it as a tool for awareness. Like, we just want to start noticing how we're spending money. Because remember, we have these goals now. And these goals are begging for some attention. But yet we're spending all this money each day. And so all we want to do is start noticing how we're spending our money, because the process of noticing will allow us to see some things like, oh, you know what? I'm spending more money going out to lunch than I really, it's not that important to me. What's more important to me is that goal. And that goal will start giving you the deeper yes, as Stephen Covey used to say, the deeper yes. So you can say no to that expensive lunch each day, right? Like, that's all I'm saying is let's start, first of all, let's get clear about what we want, and then let's start paying attention, and then ways to save money will show up. Now, sometimes this sounds like I'm being a little new agey, and I don't mean it that way. It's going to be hard, but I know of no better way. Like, we've got to start paying attention in order to figure out how we can save a little bit of money to meet those goals that are so important to us.
I think you bring up a good point. Not that long ago, but we'll say, when you and I were kids, when you spent money, you had to take actual cash out of your wallet and hand it over. You knew what you were spending at the time. Now with debit cards, and now it's going to be on your phone, and you don't realize the money's going out. I think that's one problem. People spend without realizing they're handing over money.
Yeah, I think, independent of the tool, there's all this big sort of, belief out there that you need to tear up your credit cards and just spend cash, and the belief is you got to do it because it makes it painful. I don't really like that idea. I don't think spending doesn't need to be painful. It's a tool. So I think what you're hinting at is really important to understand. Independent of the way you spend, electronically, with the phone, whatever, we've got to insert some pause, some just brief little pause. It could even be after you've spent it. Just notice. Just a commitment to saying, okay, I'm going to spend some money here. And in fact, I don't even want you to say it's bad or good. I just want you to notice. Because the process, that's what's missing. I think that's what you're hinting at, is what's missing now is stopping just to notice you're even doing it.
Right.
And the process of noticing will increase our awareness. And we all know, as you become more aware, your behavior starts to change naturally without all this, like, oh, it's got to be painful. Right? There's a better way.
And that gets back to the premise of your book, the one-page financial plan. You literally just sit down with a piece of paper and write down, right? You have different categories, what you want, what you want to achieve, how much money you have at the time, right? What your plan will be. So just put it on one piece of paper. It keeps it simple.
Yeah, it's funny. My daughter, who's 10, always was sort of giving me a hard time when I'd say, I got to go work on the book. And she'd be like, Dad, it's called the one-page plan. Why is it taking so long to write? So clearly there's a bunch of other work, right? That's 215 pages long or something like that. There's a bunch of other work. But what the one page represents is the stuff that's really important, sort of top-of-mind stuff. It's a reminder to help you be committed to making good decisions. It's a reminder of what you said was important when you were thinking clearly, so you can say no to that thing that's going to prove not to be too important to you.
Well, it's called the One-Page Financial Plan, a simple way to be smart about your money. We've been talking with Carl Richards today. I know the book just came out this week. Do you have a website you want to direct people to, Carl?
Yeah, if you go to behaviorgap.com, which is my website, you can get the introduction for free there. So go to behaviorgap.com.
Great. Carl, pleasure to spend a few minutes with you. Good luck with the book, and hopefully we can talk to you again. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Doug. It was a pleasure.
If you'd like to order the book we're talking about, please go to DougMilesMedia.com and enter the author's name in the Amazon search box. Thank you for listening. Please come back soon for more conversations here at DougMilesMedia.com. This has been a presentation of Doug Miles Media, all rights reserved. You can listen to or download previous programs at iTunes, Stitcher.com, or DougMilesMedia.com.